been working and doing great work as well in the East Side. And she has a very way of connecting with businesses as everybody, in this fabric of growth and business development and in ways of inclusion with other business. It help you to increase the way how you can navigate the resources and opportunities in the business that you are working and growing, and as well, and to bring you better ways of implementing a profitable in your company. So, Debbie, you have the capacity now to take the mic and let me know here as well how I can assist you.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Biz Diversity. Thank you, Lily. That was amazing. Great to hear from all of you. So I get the opportunity to bridge a couple of my own passions over the past couple of decades. I was a solopreneur for about 14 years in between a couple of nonprofits that I was working with and for. So tonight I get to talk to you about socially responsible business, and whether you are considering starting a business at the beginning stages or perhaps looking to expand, I hope to share with you some things to consider that you might not have been aware of or maybe not as interested in before regarding how to connect your community interests, the causes that you're passionate about with business, with the way that you operate your business in the community. So that's what we'll be focusing on today. And if you want to, if you have questions that come up as I'm talking, please put them in the chat. And if I have time at the end, I'll get to those then and really do invite your questions and comments. It would be great to see. So I'm just going to dive in here with some definitions to get started. And Samuel, I'll trust that you'll let me know if there's anything wrong with my screen here. There we go. I'm going to close out this. So thinking about, what is socially responsible business and what is the definition of that? Sometimes it's called corporate social responsibility. So it's basically a business model that says all kinds of businesses, no matter their size, can be socially accountable, right, to themselves, their stakeholders, and the public. And some would say they should be. That it's a practical and socially conscious way for companies to give back to society. And, in my observation, I just know from this myself personally and lots of small business owners that I know, it's rare to see small business owners launch their endeavors solely because they're looking to make a big profit. They are usually very community minded. They're very passionate about social issues and doing something that gives back in some way. They've created a business that is meant to have some kind of meaningful contribution to the community or the world at large, right? So I think that there's a very natural link that's out there for this kind of practice that businesses can take on. And I want to let you know that this all varies in scope and size. Obviously, sometimes we think about this only in terms of large companies, but the truth is that this is something for all businesses of all sizes, and it's a really great way to experience some of the benefits, no matter what your size. So one of the things that I want to point out is that it's important to our customers. It's important to community members who are looking to see where they're going to place their dollars when they're looking to buy a product or a service. Most consumers do want to know what the brands they support are doing to address social and environmental issues. Almost half of them pay close attention to a brand's social responsibility efforts when they go to buy a product. So it is something that is on the minds of many people. And I think particularly now, due to COVID-19, Black Lives Matter, other social movements, the values and ethics of everyone, businesses and nonprofits, are being scrutinized more than ever. And people are watching, how do companies treat their customers? How do they treat their employees? How do they treat the community, the planet? All of those things communicate to everyone about you and your brand. And what's best is to make sure that you're driving that narrative, right? That you're making conscious decisions and intentional decisions about how people view your brand and your work and your business. So people may think that price is the driving factor, and what makes someone decide to buy a product or a service. But it's actually the business practices around being environmentally friendly, being socially responsible, giving back to the local community. Those are the things that are top of mind, more so than the price. And we know this because we know that people are willing to pay more for a product if they know some of the proceeds are going to charity, for example. So I would imagine some of you listening have millennials in your base, and that they're marketing to millennials or younger. 76% of young people say that purchase or would purchasing a product to show support for the issues that the business is supporting. And that's a survey of teens and up to 25-year-olds. So there's lots of interesting data out there that's pretty fascinating about all of this. If you weren't convinced before, or I haven't convinced you yet, you can check out more information there. And I think, Sam, if you haven't already done that, he's going to be putting that link there in the chat for you. It's really interesting to see. So what are the benefits? Why, when you're, especially if you're a small business owner, you wear 10 million hats, your to-do list probably never ends, right? Why would you consider adding on an extra piece that has to do with some kind of socially responsible practice or way of doing your business that way? So there are many benefits, and I want to go through some of them now and see if these are things that could make a difference for you when you're thinking about different ways that you could support in the community via your business. So of course, having the social impact, right? You get the benefit of knowing that you're doing good in the world beyond whatever your business does and contributes to society. But beyond that, it helps you develop a stronger brand identity. Becoming associated with a certain cause or causes that are very important to you, that enhances your brand. You become aligned with the very things that you value, and others see that in your business as well. And it helps you reach new audiences, right? Now, by association, the things that you support and care about, you're immediately brought into contact with and more visibility with the people who care about those same things. And we know that customers are loyal to their brands, especially when there's value alignment and good work being done. People will stand by their brands, right? And they'll leave brands. We've seen that happen lately if they don't feel that there's an alignment. So it really helps build and support good customer loyalty. And finally, it helps differentiate yourself from the competition, especially if your business is local, a local business. It can really set you apart. People know the local nonprofits, and if you have a good relationship with one or two, people recognize that, and it will set you apart from your competition. So how do you do this? And one of the things I'm going to focus on, there's obviously a lot of ways to be a socially responsible business, from just having good environmental practices, different things that you do that are with integrity, the way that you conduct your business, all kinds of things that have to do with this. But what I'm going to focus on most for the purposes of today is how to develop these partnerships with nonprofits, if this is something that interests you, and how that could be beneficial to you, right? So the very beginning place where you want to start is thinking about those causes, right, that you're passionate about, and then finding the ones that really are the best fit, line up the best with what you do in your business, and then do some research. I'm going to give a plug for local. I know that there are a lot of great causes that do national work that make a big, huge impact, and I don't want to take away from those at all. But the truth is, if you're a small to medium-sized business, you're not going to have a great amount of visibility in those partnerships for those larger national nonprofit causes, because you might be one of many, many, many businesses that are supporting that nonprofit, right? And unless you're one of the top donors, you're just not going to see that kind of visibility, and you're not going to get the kind of attention and true partnership that you would with a local nonprofit. So you can look up in the city where you live, you can look up causes and who's doing the work, and then consider going to their events, getting to know them. finding out who they are and what they need, and just learning more about them out of a sense of curiosity, even before you have any ideas of what you might want to actually do in partnership with each other. Understand that nonprofits have some restraints. Clearly, they're, especially now, they're just dealing with a lot, and they don't have a lot of extra time, especially small nonprofits, to devote to um, partnerships where there's a lot of work for them to do to make that partnership work, right? So you want to be considerate about that. And if you're a small to medium-sized business, you're also in the same boat. You don't have a lot of extra time. So you want to think strategically and understand that there are constraints on both sides and restraints. Some of for a nonprofit can be that they're not allowed to market, advertise for a for-profit business or product. In other words, they can't say that this is the best printing shop in the community. However, they can make your business visible and do a lot of things that end up drawing people to your product or services that are well within what they're legally able to do, and in keeping them on the right course with what they're supposed to do as a nonprofit. First and foremost, make sure that is an authentic engagement, and that you're making your goals clear too, so that it becomes a true win-win. One of the ways, so sometimes people think just about money. Oh, well, what if I'm a small startup and I just don't have money to give? I can't make those donations. I can't write those checks every month that I would like to. Well, maybe you have a business-to-business service that you provide, an expertise that you have that really could benefit a nonprofit. Could you share some of that? Could you provide a training to staff? Those are highly valuable services, and I think it's an untapped resource in our community. And if you do have the ability to donate, you can consider doing that as a percentage of a sale of a particular product or service, particularly one if you're trying to launch. Maybe it's something new. It's a way to kind of build the buzz around that, to say, here's a new product, or here's a new thing that we're doing in the community. And for everybody who purchases this over the next 3 months, we're going to give X% to this local charity. You can also ask for donations at checkout. So instead of you being the one providing a donation, you can ask your customers to do so. Now, some of you may think, oh, I don't want to do that. And I get that. I never would have thought of that either before I started looking all this up and seeing what was possible. But we have a couple of statistics for you about that. So almost half of consumers have donated to a cause on a retailer's website. And the majority of consumers have given at a point of sale, whether that's online or in person. And of those, 81% say that they like it or they don't mind being asked to give at checkout. And in fact, a lot of consumers, most of them say brands should make it easier to see what their values are, what their positions are on important issues. And they should do that at the point of sale. So that's really interesting, and you can look up those reports if you want to know more. But that really gave me some insight that I didn't have before, because that would have been something that I would have hesitated around before knowing that. Okay, so before I close, and I have maybe a minute here for questions, I'm just going to go through some other ways that you can partner. Maybe you have work training opportunities, and there's a nonprofit that works with people who are trying to get back on their feet, trying to get into a new career, and maybe you have something you can offer that's an apprenticeship. You can make volunteer hours a part of your business's culture and help support your employees to give back in ways that benefit the community. And when you start setting things up with a nonprofit partner, these are just some practical tips that can really help you have that win-win and the mutual benefit. Exchange your logos, all your graphics. Make sure that you're in constant communication, or at least regular communication, to check in. What's working, what's not, what ideas do we have maybe coming up in the next 6 months or so that we could partner on and really support one another. And then make sure that you're developing any promotional materials together. So you don't want anything to go awry. You want to stay on brand. They want to stay on brand. So just make sure that you're both parties are being respectful of that dynamic and that you're contributing together to what you're creating and putting out in the world. I think that's the end. Yeah. So let me see here if there are any questions that have come up. I don't see any, and I think I'm right on time. So that was my pleasure to share a little bit with you, and I really do encourage you to think about supporting your local community in different ways, and that you can do that with some of our nonprofits. And we have many in this area. We're very blessed and fortunate. Great businesses and great nonprofits. So together you find audiences that are passionate about both what you do and what you put out in the world, and then also what the nonprofits provide. And it's truly a win-win. So I hope you'll consider, and feel free to contact me if you have any follow-up questions. I'll put my information in the chat as well. Thank you so much.